If you have been looking for that one simple business idea that is not complex and very simple to scale, and as well as businesses that have the potential of generating cash flow from day one, I think you might need to pay attention to this video. Now, why this video is not actually about business, but the stock that I'm going to mention here will help you see opportunities in certain type of businesses. So this particular video would help you achieve two purposes or probably hit two goals. First one is not just to find the best stock to invest in or companies that have been buying their stock, because I think that there's a lot of upside potential coming. But then the core catalyst behind that growth would open your eyes to certain type of businesses that sells and make money in Nigeria. No matter the industry you are, no matter the kind of businesses you run, or maybe the kind of ideas you have in your head, at the end of this video, you will learn one simple line that you can use to test run all your business ideas. And if they pass that check, then it means that idea is worth it. So before we continue, if this is the first time you're watching my video, kindly hit the subscription button and turn on the notification bell. Because right here, we show you before the market discovers it. So yeah, I want to talk about the next hottest sector stock to watch in 2025. Now, this next hottest sector, they are based on stable FX. Yes, FX has been stable over time. And then they also have what I call pricing power. Pricing power is very critical when it comes to investing in a company, because that is exactly what the company needs to grow its net margin. And then the 6 month profits have already surpassed the whole of 2024. Now, for those that are in Glufolio community, you don't have to worry because I already mentioned it in the Glufolio platform. So this is just me coming out to let all my YouTube subscribers see the type of stocks I buy and how I get in early before the market. Now, the videos will not only tell you how I have and why I invested in this company, but also reveal a multi-millionaire business idea that will make you profitable from day one. Yes, you would see how to properly start a business in Nigeria using this industry. Now, people will practically beg to pay you for your product or service. I'm sure this is looking interesting. Like, what kind of business is that? Like, how do I start a business that people will be begging to pay me because I'm selling a product or service? What kind of product is that? No, I'm not going to mention any product. I'm not going to mention any service. I will just give you a line, and you will discover that line in these companies, in the company I want to talk, in their financial statement. You know, one of the things stock investing has done for me is that it has exposed me to a lot of companies, because I look at financial statement a lot. And when I look at it, I look at it with passion. I look at it with curiosity. And financial statement is not just that document that tells you or that shows you number. Financial statement is a document that tells a story. If you understand the story behind every financial statement, you can easily tell whether a company is a buy or not. It's as simple as that. So the way I analyze financial statement, I am looking at the story behind that number, not just number. Oh, profit went from XYZ to XYZ, or sales went from XYZ to XYZ. For me, I am interested in the story. For you, you're looking at numbers. So it is story that helps me understand better, and it is story that would help me know whether the company stock is a buy or not. Now, my usual disclaimer, the ideas shared in this video are based on my personal research and calculations. Kindly do your due diligence before you invest in this company stock. And also, please note that the stock market comes with a lot of risk due to uncertainties, and always make sure that you vet my recommendation based on your risk profile. Right, let's continue. Now, in June 2023, CBN devalued the naira from 400, like I think around 470 something dollar. Sorry, 470 something naira per dollar to 770 or thereabouts. So between 400 per dollar to 700 per dollar, a massive 75% loss of currency value. Now, this event dragged a lot of companies in the consumer goods, industrial, healthcare, telcos from profitability to loss. Let me show you that particular movement on charts in June 2023. So let's go back to our chart to spot that period. Now, this is it here. June, you can see how our exchange rate moved from 450, that's the official market, from 450 naira per dollar to reach a high of 700. I'm sure many of you that were in the stock market within this period, you saw how it affected a lot of companies. For example, MTN declared loss, a lot of consumer goods companies suffer, Cadbury suffer, Unilever suffer, a lot of them, PZ suffered. Then if you move to industrial sector, finance cost, like it was just crazy. Companies that relied on foreign debt reported a massive loss. Now, in short, most companies reported FX loss within that period because they have to book account for this naira devaluation. Now, in the same period that we had this kind of movement, some companies also benefited. I usually ask myself, who is benefiting from every macro event? So banks benefited a lot, insurance company made a lot of money, and then if you watch what happened in 2024, that was when the Nigerian federal government, sorry, federal government of Nigeria actually announced a 70% windfall tax on banks' FX earnings because banks were not providing actual value. So for them, that was like a free money to the bank. So these were all the events that played out within that particular period. So let's look at business day. Sorry, Punch. Yes, let's look at Punch. It captured this naira devaluation on healthcare sector perfectly well. So here's Punch. So let's look at Punch. So this was on the 14th of April 2024. Four pharmaceutical firms suffered 8 billion FX loss in 2023. So the weakening of the naira resulted in a combined, I'm sure you know the weakening, that was the weakening of the naira then. The weakening of the naira resulted in a combined forex loss. This weakness right here. So let's continue. The weakening of the naira resulted in a combined foreign exchange loss of 8.3 billion for four pharmaceutical firms listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange in 2023. Now, in 2023, financial statements of GlaxoSmithKline, Consumer Nigeria, Niemet, Pharmaceutical, Fidson, and May and Baker filed on Nigerian Stock Exchange were analyzed by Sunday Punch. GlaxoSmithKline, Consumer Nigeria, which has decided to end manufacturing operation in the country, had the worst FX loss among pharmaceutical companies in 2023, losing 4.5 billion instead of 935 loss it recorded in 2022. So in 2022, it recorded a loss of 935,000 loss, and then in 2023, it surged to 4.5 billion. GSK announced in August last year, that's August 2023, sorry, that it would stop its 51-year operation in the country and transition to a third-party direct distribution network for its pharmaceutical company. So working with third-party wholesaler or distributor. It reported a 35% drop in revenue to 16, blah, blah, blah. So that's GSK. So the next company here is Nemet. Nemet suffered 1.5 billion FX loss. So you see GSK loss. Now you're seeing Nemet suffered 1.5 billion loss compared to 2.43 million FX gain. So that means in 2022, it reported a 2.3 million FX gain. And in 2023, what happened? It dropped to a loss position. Consequently, its revenue plunged. So that was also another area. Let's look at Fidson on this statement too. Let's look at Fidson. Yes. More so, Fidson exchange was worsened by 66.26% to 1.26 billion. You can see we've reported GSK, Nemet, and now Fidson reported 1.26 billion in 2023 from 758 million in the previous year. Now look at May and Baker. May and Baker, on the other hand, lost 1.08 billion in FS differentials in 2023. So you can see these are multiple losses that this company have booked between 2023 due to this massive naira devaluations and all that. Now, exchanges has also moved from then. You can see from almost 700 to top a high of 1.5. This was in 2024. Now, around November, yes, we saw a peak in March, right here, a drop. Now, around November, you can see that since then, exchange rate has moderated from a high of almost 1718. Now we can see moderations in exchange rate. So I usually say that that same macro event that was responsible for a dip, that was responsible for um, the losses some companies actually recorded. Once the macro event moved to the other direction, then those companies will likely benefit. So if you look at it critically, you see that exchange rate has stabilized between November last year down to where it is right now. And this is one of the reasons why you see a lot of pharmaceutical companies, a lot of healthcare companies, consumer goods companies, telco that suffered loss the previous years are now returning back to profits. So when I saw these moderations in FX rates, what exactly did I do? I started putting all the healthcare stocks in on my watch list. So in July 30th, 2025, this is it here. I said, did you miss the surge in Fidson? We'll discuss this. Let's look at what I posted before then. So let me show some of the healthcare stocks we traded. Those healthcare stocks that suffered, that had reported loss because of FX devaluations are now coming back again. So let's go back to our recommendations. So I'm trying to look for some of the recommendations I posted on the Folio platform. So you will see how those companies benefited from devaluation. So sorry, market stability, FS stability. So here you will see, sorry, please, let me quickly log in. Okay, so this is it here. This stock reported a 70% growth in first quarter profits. So that was in May. You can see May 7, 2025. So because of the stability that we have witnessed so far in the market, and then the trend, so you can see this, the same May and Baker that suffered FX loss was a buy in May. So this stock reported 70% growth in first quarter profits by now. So May and Baker stock sold for 8 to 9 naira within that particular period. So when was that? That was May 7th. So let's go to our charts. May Baker around May 7th. May Baker around May 7th. So you can see here that May 7th is around this region. So you can see between 8 to 9 naira, the stock moved from 8 naira to reach a high of 18 naira. So those that joined Glufolio, I'm sure you made money from this May and Baker. So you see that this same company that suffered from FX loss is now benefiting from the same macro trend. And if you watch what I reported here, you see operating income surged by 80% to 1.82 versus 1 billion. Rate of extraordinary income from contract manufacturing and claims from loss incurred. Now, here is it. And 151% gain on Forex transactions compared to loss incurred in the previous period. So if you go to May and Baker fundamentals, or let's check the financials here, you will see that the company reported a loss in previous period. And don't forget, this was first quarter 2025. First quarter 2025. So I'm just trying to let you know some of the factors behind my recommendations and how to learn from it. The whole essence of this video is just for you to learn and understand how I pick stock outside the regular um, media hype. Now, this is it here. So if you pay close attention to this particular side, you see operating income and loss. Can you see here? Note 7. Note 7. So in 2024, it was a loss of 34 billion, and in 2025, the 127. So let's see a breakdown of that note 7 on May and Baker's book. So let's look at note 7 on May and Baker to understand that line item right there. So here is note 7. So you can see operating income. Now, this is line item, exchange rate gain. You can see from a loss of 45 billion to a profit of 23.5 billion. So that's exactly what I stated right here. 151% gain on Forex transaction compared to a loss incurred in previous period. So that same FX that had battered their fundamentals in 2023 to 2024, you can see was responsible for the same uptick we witnessed on the company's stock price. Can you see here? Yes, even though sales had actually rallied too, but you see that the moderation in FX helped to lift this same company's stock. So sometimes when you look at certain macroeconomic events, beyond just the negative side of it, also pay attention to the positive side. So if a company is being beaten down by a macro event, then that is automatically an opportunity in disguise, because by the time that macroeconomic event reverses, then that particular company would most likely go up. Look at Nigerian Brewery. You see a lot of them, international brewery. Most of these companies suffer from FX devaluation. But right now, go and check their stock price. Now, the second stock I want to show you is Fidson. The same Fidson that was battered, the same Fidson that lost almost 1 point something billion to FX loss, also benefited from Naira stability. So you see here, this stock may break out of 52-week high in 2025. That was in February 6th, 2025. February 6th, 2025. So let's look at Fidson healthcare stock. February 6th. So you can see February is around this region right here. You can see right here, right before the big move. Let me tell you the truth. In this market, I know how to capture the big move in the market. Yes, it doesn't happen immediately, but if I give that stock 3 months, 6 months, I know something will happen. So look at Fitsin right here. So Fitsin has also been narrowing its loss within this period. Fixing, you can see in Q4, net forex loss dropped significantly from minus 244 million in Q 2023 to 42.3. So you can see that there was a trend. So there was a narrative, there was a trend noticeable on the same pharmaceutical company that had suffered. So you can see four pharmaceutical company firms suffered 8 billion FX loss. And the same pharmaceutical companies actually benefited from the same FX loss, FX stability. Do you understand? So sometimes when you see this kind of headline, it means that those companies should also be on your watch list, because the moment FX stabilizes, then they'll become a buy. And that's exactly what we have witnessed so far in the market. So Fitson enjoyed some stability and also narrowed their loss. Go and check Fitson financials. You will see. And then Fitson entry was around 17 to 18 naira within that period. And 17 to 18 naira is around this region. You can see here, that was around February 2025. And where it fits in, you can see Fitson topping over 40 something naira. So when you see certain macro trend driving a sector, it pays to pay attention to that particular stock, because when it moves to in one direction that is not favorable, there's possibility that it could move to the other direction. And then those stocks that were beaten down could also become a buy in the market. And that's exactly what has happened. Yes, one of the things I like about the healthcare sector is healthcare falls under in-demand product. In-demand product. For those that watched my video on stocks to buy and hold forever, if you find any good stocks, healthcare stock that meets all the criteria I shared with you, why not hold them forever? So because these are companies that enjoy what I call pricing power. They may suffer, they might probably be beaten down because of macroeconomic events, but because they enjoy pricing power, they have the tendency of raising price. So some of the strategies this company have adopted is to actually increase the price of their product just to be able to cover up. There are certain reasons why a company increase the price of its product. Sometimes it could be a survival tactics, because at the end of the day, they have looked left, look right, there's no other option. So the only way they could survive is to increase the price of their product, especially if they sell products that are inelastic. So what is that stock that I'm paying attention to in the same healthcare sector? So you will see that both healthcare stock from Fitson to Mayor Baker had done over 100% from inception since we recommended this particular stock. Now, if you miss fixing 158% surge, this particular stock is one stock I am holding. I've been holding this stock since July, and those that join Glufolio community are also holding this stock. And this stock is already up by 42% in our portfolio. And what is that particular stock? Macure. You can see here, Macure was recommended at 13.5 naira. And where is Macure today? Let's look at Macure. Now, it's not about whatever the stock has done, but the story behind that rally is what I'm interested in. So 13 naira is around this region, and then the Macure is selling for 19 naira. That's almost 40 something percent plus. The stock is already up by 40 something percent in my portfolio. I think roughly 45, 46% in my portfolio. Now, why did I recommend Macure? Now, apart from the fact that a lot of healthcare sector has been enjoying positive sentiment. Like if you look at stability so far, even despite the market dip and all that, you can see that Mikio had been a bit stable. We've not seen any significant sell-off. So what could have been responsible for that stability? Yeah, there could be volume is a problem for some of you that like to buy in volume. But one thing I've also noticed in the Nigerian market is that once a stock become hot, once a stock start attracting positive sentiment, reporting blowout earnings, you will see volume start increasing. I've noticed that many times in the market. So why did I recommend Mikio? A lot of reasons why I recommended Mikio, but let me start from the fundamentals of Mikio right here. In Q1 2025, you can see where I even referenced Fidson and May and Baker on this post. In Q1 2025, Mikio fundamentals was nothing to write home about. Yes. And then you will see the reasons. In Q1 2025, the healthcare stock failed to impress the market despite a 65% surge in revenue to 13.2 billion from 8 billion naira. That was from Q1 2024 to Q1 2025. Revenue went from 8 billion to 13.2 billion, and a 61% growth in gross profits. Now, the finance cost increased by 142% to reach 1.7 billion, resulting in 11% dip in profit before and after tax, respectively. EPS also dropped by 12%. So the reason why we see that surge was a massive increase in finance cost. This explains the drop before the results were released. And it appears that some selected players had prior knowledge, as evidenced by the change from 13. So the stock dropped briefly because of that particular unimpressive fundamentals. Now in Q2 results, right here, in Q2, what happened in Q2? Let's look at it here. Now you will notice that in Q2, revenue surged by 164%. Can you see here? And then profit before tax surged by 632%. Profit after tax surged by 632%. Let me tell you one thing. In stock markets, these numbers that I share right here are not visible on Macure financial statements. They are not visible. One of the things that would tell you whether a company is growing, it is not what you see on financial statement. Like I tell you, financial statement tells you a story. Do you understand? Understanding the story behind that statement is what you need, not the numbers. If you look at Mikio half year, the half year results did not reveal that particular story. That's why I usually encourage people to join my ETC class. See, my ETC class is a 1 month program where I take my members, my students, from start to finish, how I pick Nigerian stock, what I watch out for, some of the numbers I pay attention to. That number, you will not find it on this particular financial statement. So you will now ask me, how did you get the number? For instance, profit before tax went up by 632%, and the profit after tax 632%. So you wonder, where is the number right here? I'm not seeing any 600% growth on this particular make your financial statement. Profit before tax here went from 2.7 to 7.7. So this is not up to 600%. So where? That is what I teach in my each section. But in 6 month period, you will see that Mikio that reported an unimpressive Q1 result actually recovered. You can see 6 month results surpassed the previous 6 months and the previous full year of 2024, from 2.8 billion in 2024, that's profit before tax, to 7.7, and then profit before tax, yes. And then you see profit after tax 936 million to 2.3, 2.7 billion. And then look at revenue 17.1 to 37.2 billion naira. So this is a massive comeback. A company that reported a dip in profit in Q1, and then in Q2, 6 months now surpassed. So that means there must be something that is happening in that company's financial. So that's the story. So how do we extract the story? Now, if you look at most of these healthcare companies, because of the issue that they have faced in FX, trying to recover their losses, some of them have resorted to increase in price of their products. A lot of pharmaceutical products are very expensive in the market. So the story behind this is the price of that product. A lot of companies are increasing the price of their products. So now let's look at the revenue of this company. Revenue went from 17.1 to 37.2. That's note 5. So let's look at note 5 of Macure. Note 5 of Macure. Note 5 of Mercure. Yes, this is note 5 of Mercure. So you see sales of finished product from 17 to 37. Now, a breakdown is what I like to look at the breakdown of companies' fundamentals, financial statements. Now, this is the breakdown of that 37.2 billion. Now, you will see that at least 20.7, the bulk of this money here is assigned to this single line item, 20.8 billion. So you can see there was an increase from 9.6 billion to 20, 9.6 to 20. That's more than 100%. And that came from acute. Then the other ones, chronic, narcotics, OTC, and supplements, they share the remaining one, 3.3, 7 point something, and all that. Now, pay attention to this 20. It's coming from acute. Now, the company even did a good job by telling us what exactly is that acute. So they said these are medicines used for short-term conditions like infection, pain, and fever. Here is the multi-millionaire business idea that I want to talk about here. Now, acute are medicine used for short-term conditions like infection, pain, or fever. You see these three diseases, infection, sorry, these three pain points, infection, pain, or fever. They are problems, they are challenges that will stop you from doing any other thing. They are problems that will make you uncomfortable. There are problems that would not allow you to do any other thing. Will make like you are ready to spend anything. People with infection, pain, and fever, they are ready to spend anything to make sure they get out of this. So even if the company decide to increase the price of the medicine right here, people will keep spending on this because they make you uncomfortable. What's the business lesson here? The business lesson right here is that if you sell a product that addresses urgent and important pain, pain that people cannot do without, pain that people cannot manage. So it is that pain that makes them uncomfortable. It is the fact that they need to solve it urgently that will make them pay. Because if they don't solve it urgently, it could lead to something else. Having fever, pain, and infection is not something you want to joke with because life is at stake. You could lose more if you allow this to continue. So you are willing and ready to pay anything to get this. So if these guys decide to increase the price of this medicine, people will still pay for it. So no wonder you have seen a massive jump from 9.6 to 20 because there's a possibility that this particular medicine, acute medicine, have actually increased in price just for the company to cover up for increasing costs. Remember, Q1 was not even impressive. So the business lesson here is that instead of focusing on products that people can buy, people can postpone, let them beg you to pay because it's solving an urgent and important problem. Infection, pain, and fever are urgent and important problem people cannot do without. That's why they always beg doctor, doctor, take my money, take my money, take my money, go to the hospital. Doctors are not begging you to give you their money. You are the one begging, you're the one asking them how much. They'll just direct you to go and pay. How do I pay? Because that particular problem is urgent and important. And it is urgency that makes Nigerians to pay. Urgency is what makes customer to pay you. Because see, naturally, a Nigerian will not want to pay you. Nigerian might want to get everything for free. So if you look at this line item, it for me, it opened my eyes to see certain things that if you are going to start a business, whatever idea you have, the question is if you want that idea to be profitable from day one, does it solve an urgent and important problem? Infection, pain, and fever. This is single line item that reviews a multi-millionaire opportunity. Just this single problem alone is generating over 20.8 billion. So this is just 6 months. We don't know what's going to happen in the next 6 months. So which for me means that this company would clearly and comfortably surpass its full year. And if you look at the results, in 6 months, the company reported a profit of 3.9 billion, 200% above the previous 6 months, which surpasses its last full year of 2.3. Can you see? So in 6 months alone, the company has already reported a profit that surpassed not just the previous year, but also, sorry, the previous 6 months, but also the whole of 2024. So why? Because the company is benefiting from this particular drug. This is a solution that solves urgent and important problem: infection, pain, and fever. So when you are starting a business, that idea, are you looking at what is solving? Not just a business that I want to sell, whatever. No. That's why sometimes I think that the best businesses are businesses that solves urgent and important problem, because these are businesses that customers will start paying you. You don't have to. You don't need to have the perfect office, the perfect website, the perfect mobile app, whatever. No. What people are paying you for is the solution, and because your solution is addressing urgent and important problem, nobody's interested in your design. How many people go to Macure website to go and check whether it's fine before they know? All they want to do is, do you, all they want to buy is, do you have this product? Do you have this particular drug? And then you can see them here. They are typically prescribed for immediate relief. People want immediate relief. People want is an immediate solution to their urgent problem. So that they can, if you have an appointment, once pain sets in, you can cancel it. You can cancel it. You will suspend every other thing. So they are not meant for long-term use. People want immediate relief to their pain. Now, this is an example of those acute medicines. You can see antibiotics here. You can see pain reliever, and then the rest of them. So the business lesson here is that if you're going to be running a business, or you're thinking of a business idea to start, you must focus on solutions, ideas that solves urgent and important pain, if you want people to beg to pay you. So I just had to share this as a distraction. Like I told you, by analyzing company financial statement, I see a lot of things. I can understand certain businesses that are going to do well in Nigeria and the ones that may not do well. So if I'm going to start a business, I'm going to advise someone on how to start a business. Then looking at the numbers that I've analyzed over the years, imagine how many financial statements I come through every week, every month, every year. And then it's so the stories that I've seen, the result and everything has exposed me unconsciously. So meaning that aside from analyzing it to invest in stock, I mean directly understanding businesses, how they run, and then the type of businesses that actually generate most money in Nigeria or not. So this is why I am very bullish on Mikio, because Mikio is benefiting from this particular pain. You can see here pain, infection, and fever. So what will happen? There's possibility that the Mikio might generate close to 40 billion from just this single line item right here. And then that would probably shoot this revenue in the next 6 months. So when I'm bullish on Mikio as a stock, is just beyond whatever the stock is doing, but understanding the story, the narratives on that the financial statement is actually telling us, and then leveraging on that to continue to hold the stock. So this is the only company in the healthcare space that is yet to move as planned, and then others have moved. Fidson have moved, me and Baker has moved. Remember, I keyed into Mikio around 13 naira. I've already showed you that on the follow platform. Mikio is selling for this. So if you decide to jump in at this point, then you know that you're taking a decision on your own. This is not a buy recommendation from me, because we've already entered early. Those that joined us earlier on would have already keyed into Mikio. Mikio was a buy around July this year. So if this is the first time you're watching my channel, kindly hit the subscription button, turn on the notification bell. I hope you got value from this little thing. So even if you're not going to invest in Mikio stock, at least you have an idea on the kind of business that makes money in Nigeria. And then if you're looking to join our community, you can go to glowfollow.com/subscribe, pick a plan that works for you. We'll be having our September webinar this weekend. This weekend, you don't want to miss it, because this weekend I'm going to talk about certain stocks that I'm still holding during this market dip because they have good fundamentals.